Well, the deck is failing, people. Hear all that? That movement? It's failing because it wasn't built right. I didn't do it, so let me show you why. First, here's a clue. You see the big shift in the elevation here between that side of the deck and this side. See, the boards are all uneven. It looks like they're popping out. See that? But they're not actually popping out. And here's a clue. You see the paint line? These boards used to be up against that paint line. So they're dropping down, and what's happening behind this, there's a ledger board that goes this way, and it's attached to the house, and then the deck joists are attached to that. But here, the problem they made is you're supposed to have the siding come down over flashing, and then flashing going up over the ledger board, so it stays dry and doesn't rot. But here they just attach it to the outside of the housing, so every time it rains, you get rainwater down here, and it lodges in between the ledger board bolted to the house, or attached to the house somehow, I haven't gotten in there yet, and traps the water and causes dry rot. So that board's got to be replaced, and we're going to redesign it. The deck boards themselves, it's hard to find good redwood anymore. So we're going to try and refinish them. Hopefully the back sides are a little less weathered. So we're going to try and salvage this. So what we have to do is pull all the deck boards out, send them, pile, stack them over there to get some refinishing done, and then get in here and see what everything looks like. We pull that ledger board off that I said is connected to the house and supposed to be supporting this end of the board. We're going to change the design and make it a free-floating deck, because trying to cut the siding, get flashing under there, it's a big job, and I don't really want to cut the siding because this acts as the shear paneling for this house, for the diagonal bracing, lateral support, and you can see it's the open end of a modified A-frame design, so that shear strength is really important to keep the house from wanting to rock this way, especially here where earthquakes occasionally occur. So we're going to pull these deck boards off. Some of these joists, they might be rotted. We'll find out. If they are, we're going to replace them. You can see the nail or the screw line there. And then we're going to, after we replace whatever joists we need to replace, we're also going to be adding some diagonal bracing to the piers so that they don't want to rock sideways, because originally the ledger board attached to the house allowed for some stability, side-by-side movement. So we're going to be adding, you can see here's a post, we'll be adding some diagonal bracing at a 45, like a 1x4, to improve the rigidity. And then what we're going to do, by free floating, it's not going to be attached to the house at all. We're going to run a new joist a few inches off the wall here, down that way, and that'll support these boards, and then the boards will sort of cantilever over that joist just a few inches towards the house, and we'll leave about a 1-inch gap so we don't get all this buildup of flammable material, pine needles and stuff, which during fire season, one ember gets in there and your house is gone. So that'll allow debris to fall down, water to drain. We'll have a little gap, not too noticeable. And then fortunately the sill of the doors, see that extends about a little more than an inch over the deck. So there won't be a gap that'll be noticeable when you walk outside the door. So anyway, that's the project. We're starting it tomorrow. Hopefully we can keep the material costs and the labor costs down. I can't do it myself because I got my dang knee waiting on knee surgery next week. But it's gonna be nice to get rid of this creaky deck and these boards that are not even supported on this end anymore. This gap right here, this growing gap, is unsafe. Obviously that's a tripping hazard. And again, the paint tells the story. The paint line tells us that these deck boards used to be higher up, so they've lost their support, which means this joist here is likely rotted. As a matter of fact, I can kind of see in there a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, but I see some rot on this joist. So certainly getting rid of the ledger board, replacing it with a joist. This joist most likely has to go. We'll see how the other ones look. Some of this creakiness is because the screws are backing out a little bit. You can see right there, which is also a tripping and toe stubbing hazard. So by flipping them over and re-screwing them, it should be a good solid deck. So that's the project. And since it's fire season now, we had 3 fires break out yesterday, and I almost got put into an evacuation zone. The evacuation zone was just about 2 miles south of me. That's since been lifted and they got them knocked down. But this deck is a tinder box with all this pine needles that get trapped in there. I mean, I can sweep off the stuff on top, but it's not solving the root cause. You know, look at all that stuff trapped in there. So at least the deck boards will be off for part of fire season, and then we put it all back together again. That trapped needles and stuff should be mitigated. So that's the plan. I'll keep you posted. It's warm here, and fire season is the worst part of the year because it's the #1 threat here. I don't have to worry about any floods. I'm on sort of a rolling hill. There's a creek right there, or a creek we call it. No real tornadoes here, but fire is a massive risk. So I don't know if you can tell, but I've been clearing my forest further back every year and leaving nice healthy specimen trees, but then clearance around them to mitigate, like if a flame front came this way, like a crown fire, these gaps will take the heat out of it. We've gotten rid of what they call ladder fuels, which is brush that can burn up and get into a crown fire. And then we've eliminated a lot of stuff on the ground, so a ground fire can barely creep along. I also have a fire for ground fires. I have a fire break out there that I use my dozer to scratch, and then we use a leaf blower to keep it open. So that's what's happening this week here in the Siskiyou Mountains.